Now, Count on 2, live and local in the Lowcountry. This is News 2 at 5.
Tropical storm Isaias forming in the Atlantic, and here at home, crews are getting ready, but at a disadvantage.
We've lost over 75% of the capacity at our shelters.
Tonight, what leaders are doing to keep socially distant while preparing.
These restrictions are temporary, they're measured, they're targeted at what we know works.
Plus, more businesses getting the green light to open doors, but with some ground rules. Tonight, how business owners are responding to new restrictions.
And caught on camera, an attempted break-in in a Goose Creek home.
Neighbors saying this is not the first time it's happened in the community. News 2 at 5 o'clock starts now. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Brendan Clark.
We are glad to see you tonight. Good evening. I'm Carolyn Murray. Team coverage tonight as Tropical Storm Isaias approaches the East Coast. Still a lot of uncertainty about this storm and its impact. News 2's Kate Prestak spoke with emergency leaders about how preparing for this storm during a pandemic is different.
But first, the Lowcountry's chief meteorologist, Rob Fowler, is tracking this storm and has the latest from the tropics. Rob?
Yeah, we do have some new updated breaking information, and that is, as we kind of speculated, the official hurricane forecast now does bring this to a hurricane as it gets into the warmer waters over the Bahamas. So right now, here's our satellite perspective. We'll kind of break it down for you, peel the layers as we've been watching this storm. The center of circulation right about there, coming off of the Dominican Republic, and it's moving still to the northwest at about 20 miles an hour. So it's moving at a pretty good clip. But the reason you see the colors and the purple especially, we enhance this satellite imagery, meaning we give it colors depending on the higher or colder cloud tops. The higher the colder cloud tops, typically the stronger the storms. And you can see the progression. Last night we saw that little dip, and now we're continuing to see that northwest movement. And now the center of the storm is pulling away from the island. And as it does, it's going to get into some very warm waters. And that's why now the official forecast for Isaias is to bring this to a hurricane. It's moving northwest at 20. The winds are 60 miles an hour. So right now it's a strong tropical storm. But I would say once it gets into the Bahamas, you see Category 1 hurricane, winds of 75. That's the official forecast. But as we zoom in, show you the close-up of the cone of uncertainty, the center of the storm still appears to be staying off of our coast, but we are still in the cone of uncertainty. Most of the impacts are going to be east of the center, we do believe, but any deviation in this track back to the west could bring more significant impacts for the coast of South Carolina. Still a lot of questions, guys, but we're going to break it down. We'll have more coming up in our full forecast in just a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, John. Our team coverage takes us to the News 2 rooftop. We find Kate Prestak, and Kate has spent the day talking to local governments about how they are preparing for this potential storm. The mayor of Mount Pleasant, Will Haney, says he's working to make the response feel the same as it would out of a pandemic. Kate?
Mayor Haney telling me exactly that he wants to make sure that his response to the Mount Pleasant people was the same as it was pre-COVID-19. Overall, alterations for the town's hurricane and tropical storm plans will be on an internal level, meaning they will implicate social distancing guidelines and regulations for the Emergency Operations Center. Instead of congregating in one room, they will be spreading out around Town Hall. They will also be social distancing when pre-staging their equipment.
If our staff isn't healthy or if our staff is quarantined, we can't respond. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a tropical storm or a Category 5. We respond at different levels depending on how the thing develops. So it's not like we're sitting here saying we're only getting ready for a tropical storm. We will be ready if it's a Category 5.
Mount Pleasant, of course, not the only ones preparing for a storm. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll be speaking to the city of Charleston to hear what their plans are. From the News 2 rooftop, I'm Kate Prestak. Count on 2.
Kate, thanks. Right now, you can download our 2020 Hurricane Ready Guide on our website, counton2.com. You can find it under the weather section called Tracking the Tropics. Count on us and Storm Team 2 to guide you through hurricane season with the very latest information.
Breaking news coming out of the newsroom. The SEC has adopted the plan to have a 10-game all-conference schedule. What this means is all those rivalry games we've come to know and love will not be taking place this season. For example, for the first time since 1908, the Clemson versus South Carolina game will not be taking place. Other schools will be feeling the same hits, such as Florida and Florida State, Georgia and Georgia Tech, and the list goes on. Now, the South Carolina and Clemson matchup is one that goes back more than 100 years. and these teams have met in the Palmetto Bowl 117 times. Most of those games have gone in the Tigers' favor. They lead the series 71-42, and right now Clemson is on a 6-game win streak. We'll have more for you guys coming up later on in the show. Brendan and Carolyn, back to you.
John, thanks. We are still working to learn more about a possible drowning on Folly Beach. We are told this happened at around 2 o'clock near the Morris Island Lighthouse. Officials say bystanders were able to retrieve a man and perform CPR before first responders arrived at the scene. Emergency officials took that person to a hospital, and we are working to learn more about the person's condition.
And Charleston police are investigating after a child was found unresponsive in a pool. The 17-month-old child was found at a home on Burning Tree Road, that's on James Island. The child was taken to the hospital for treatment, and we will continue to keep you updated on both the incidents we just talked about, the latest information as that becomes available. Today marks exactly 6 months since the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a public health emergency. So far, nearly 16 million cases have been reported worldwide. More than 600,000 people have died. The head of the WHO also warned the infection rate is accelerating. In a speech marking this grim anniversary, the agency's director called for political leadership and more engagement with their communities and pointed out cases worldwide have doubled in the last 6 weeks.
More than 1,600 new COVID-19 cases in our state and 48 additional deaths. That brings South Carolina's total to more than 87,000 cases and nearly 1,600 deaths. As of yesterday, nearly 750,000 tests have been performed across this state.
Former Republican presidential candidate Herman Cain has died after a battle with COVID-19. Cain ran for president back in 2012. He dropped out in late 2011. Cain was a business executive, companies like Burger King, Godfather's Pizza. He had attended President Trump's campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma in June. Less than 2 weeks later, he was diagnosed with the virus. Cain's death was announced today on his website. He was 74 years old.
More reopenings across South Carolina, but Governor McMaster is calling on local governments to step up enforcement where necessary, including wearing masks and crowd sizes. News 2's Riley Benson joins us now from King Street in downtown Charleston. And Riley, you spoke with bar and restaurant owners about the latest updates from this state. Give us an idea of how they are responding.
Carolyn, restrictions for restaurants now mandatory. Venues, concerts, parades, nightclubs all had to resume business, but under some very strict restrictions. One bar owner I spoke with today tells me he's taking it one day at a time.
I make a plan each morning, and by the time 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hits, it's a different plan in motion.
With more reopenings announced by Governor McMaster on Wednesday comes more restrictions he's asking for help enforcing.
And the way to prepare for the worst is to have local leadership involved in stopping the spread of this virus and keeping the people safe.
And while nightclubs, venues, dance halls, and more are allowed to reopen, they must follow strict guidelines to limit exposure.
We're in a tough business right now, restaurants, nightlife specifically. There's no real right answer.
At Uptown Social, partner Keith Benjamin says the bar is making changes, including adding a breakfast menu to keep patrons coming.
Our model is not to be closed by 11 o'clock every night. Just doesn't work for Uptown Social.
The latest executive order, another attempt at getting COVID numbers under control across the state and low country.
These limited measures give South Carolina the best chance to slow down the spread of the virus while keeping our economy open.
And while the breakfast menu at Uptown Social is here to stay, Benjamin is hoping dance floors and bars will be full again soon.
Getting back to the 2 a.m. is paramount to our success, and we just hope that we can get there sooner rather than later.
Now the latest executive order with the latest COVID-19 restrictions is being put together by the governor's office, and it's expected that it will be released sometime by this weekend. The new restrictions and mandates will take effect on August 3rd. Live in downtown Charleston, Riley Benson, Count on 2.
More than 12,000 people filed for first-time unemployment benefits last week, according to the Department of Employment and Workforce. But the agency says that's 2,100 fewer claims than the previous week in the state. Nationally, the number of first-time filers increased as the virus forced many states to revise their reopening plans.
All right, here's a look at traffic. Now, a lot of the rain that has come on through has moved on by. Still a few light showers, looks like, on the Idle Palms connector. Some of the roads are still wet, so be wary of that as you travel around town. That accident has been cleared up, so it looks pretty good over at 212A and B, as well as C, that exit over there on 526. Meanwhile, here's the Rabbit Bridge. We're looking pretty good coming over the bridge, and Savannah Highway, not too bad. A little slow down, light to light, but that's really just about it. So it's only a 19-minute drive, Mount Pleasant to West Ashley on the westbound side of the Mark Clark. Take off about a minute if you're going on the eastbound side. Here's that live look at what's happening right now. One of our DOT cameras. You can see the sun is back out at I-26 eastbound, mile marker 215.
Next on News 2.
Tonight, police officers and community activists are teaming up to see how we can unite the Charleston community. How you can get involved in the conversation coming up.
Happening tonight in Charleston, law enforcement and local activists are coming together to help end racial injustice in our community. News 2's Katie Turner joins us live from Charleston's Police Department in downtown Charleston. And Katie, there is a town hall that's happening in 1 hour, and police are playing a pivotal role in this town hall.
That's right, Carolyn. Charleston Police Department officials tell me they need the community's help to identify what needs to be changed. And they say that's all going to start tonight. The Racial Justice Town Hall is hosted by the AD Campaign chapter, an organization that advocates for social justice with Christian-based values. The ACLU, Black Lives Matter, Charleston Area Justice Ministry, and Charleston Police Department will all be on board and will be answering questions about the specifics on policing on the black community. Police say this has been sparked in part with what's happening across the country.
Enforcement has traditionally been what the police are expected to do, but enforcement alone doesn't fix very many problems, right? And so that collaborative problem solving is going to require active engagement.
Questions will be submitted through an online form and will be answered live during the discussion. Now again, the meeting will be happening tonight at 6 o'clock and can be live streamed through the AND campaign. In downtown Charleston, I'm Katie Turner. Count on 2.
Katie, thank you. This weekend, you can pick up the gear you would have received if you were supposed to run in the Cooper River Bridge Run. There is a 2-day drive-through packet pickup at the Charleston Area Convention Center in North Charleston. It is tomorrow and Saturday, Friday and Saturday. It includes a T-shirt, head buff, and keychain that you can get if you registered for this year's race. Rob, I got you covered. I'll get your swag. We have
Not me. What happened to me?
I'll get something for you too, Brendan. We have details on our website, counton2.com.
All right, certainly out about maybe running tonight. Make sure you stay hydrated. It's warm, it's humid. A lot of folks are at the beach still. Look at the breakers there over in the Isle of Palms as the tide is all the way in. We expect to see angry seas this weekend with potentially a hurricane, Isaias, off of our coast. Right now, we'll show you what's happening radar-wise. Things have settled down just a little bit. We got little spotty showers up in Berkeley County right there near Jamestown. Those are moving east. Georgetown over to Andrews. Be on the lookout for a passing shower for you. We've had a few of those passing showers, even thunderstorms in the immediate Charleston area as well. And then we look back out to the west along Interstate 20. There's some more energy that's trying to move eastbound. We'll see if some of that kind of transfers towards the eastern part of the state before sunset and things kind of cool down a little bit. Well, here's our tropical storm. We mentioned hurricane because that's probably the next information we need to disseminate. The fact that the hurricane forecast now believes this will strengthen into a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane. And one of the reasons why we were waiting to see the interaction with land over Hispaniola, and there is some interaction, but the center is right there. So most of this staying out over the water, and now it's going to move into some really warm water in the southern Bahamas, the islands there. So that's why we think it has every opportunity for getting stronger. New numbers as of 5 o'clock, moving northwest at 20. That hasn't changed. The winds are 60 miles an hour. That hasn't changed either. What has changed is the fact that we do believe, again, it has the opportunity as we get into potentially Saturday morning, once it gets in the Bahamas, to become a little bit stronger. Now, right now, we're in the cone of uncertainty, but the center track, which you can't always look at, but it appears, most of our models saying the center is going to stay just offshore. If it does, the impact weather is going to be east of the center. If it deviates a little farther west, that's going to bring more impacts along our coast. But when it's off of our coast, officially, it could be a hurricane. That would be between Sunday and Monday. And here are the computer models. Most of these did shift to the east. Most of them do keep the center of the storm offshore. Now, once we get to our neighbors to the north, North Carolina, there is a potential a landfall could take place there. The key in all of this is the ridge of high pressure that's been steering it. How strong is it going to be over time? There could be a weakness on the other side. That's going to allow it to turn, and if that weakness occurs, then it would probably make that recurve right off of our coast. But again, right now we've got to keep an eye on that. Also, the probability of tropical storm force winds have increased just because of the fact that the wind field most likely will expand. So if we zoom in, you can see right along the coast right now at this moment a 31% chance of some tropical storm force winds right along the beaches, only in the teens when you get away from the coast. Those numbers, we'll watch them. If they come up, the forecast confidence getting a little higher. All right, 78 inland, 78 at the beach for tonight. Mostly cloudy skies. Those aforementioned showers, even a few thunderstorms still hanging around. It's going to be a hot Friday, hot way to end the month of July, 94. Also low to middle 90s coming up for Saturday as well as Sunday. And we can't completely turn off the rain machine this weekend. Most of the time it will be dry. Same story over at the beach. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's going to be a hot one right around 90 degrees.
Next on News 2.
The NBA is getting ready to kick things back off tonight, but will the Pelicans be taking the court with Zion? I'll have all the details for you when we come back.
Today, Marion County broke ground for a park named after Reverend Senator Clemente C. Pinckney. Reverend Pinckney, a senior pastor at Emmanuel AME Church on Calhoun Street in downtown Charleston, killed along with 8 others as they were in that Bible study class. Lacey Lee was there to capture the moment.
The Pinckney family, alongside Governor McMaster and others in the Marion Council, broke ground today for Amazing Grace Park, the Clemente Pinckney Memorial. Pinckney and 8 others were murdered at the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston on June 17, 2015. It will be a place for people to enjoy walking trails and educational playgrounds. It will also provide a venue for gatherings and local activities. Everyone who spoke in the groundbreaking ceremony says Reverend Clemente Pinckney was a gentle giant, and this park being named after him means a lot to the community.
Of course, he would be like, no, don't name it after me. I'm quite sure you can find several other people to name it after. That's just the kind of person that Clemente was, but you know, he would be very proud. It's a proud moment right now.
Marion, Lacey Lee, count on 2.
This is the Palmetto Ford Truck World Sports Desk. Come in. You'll get the best total deal on the new Ford F-150 and Super Duty.
Can you believe it? The NBA season is finally back, but will Zion be a part of the return? The Pelicans and Utah Jazz will kick things off today. The NBA season hasn't held a game since March. Now things are getting ready to get back up and running, but Zion might not be taking the court for the season return. After a family emergency, Zion had to leave the bubble but returned July 16th. After quarantine and passing his COVID-19 test, the young star might still miss the return. The team is worried his injury might not be fully healed yet and are making sure that he is a game-time decision. Zion says he's ready and wants to take the court as soon as possible. The NCAA has approved the athletes can now wear patches on their uniforms for causes they support. In the past, patches have been banned from uniforms that have not been approved by the school. Now, players can wear 2 patches on their uniforms to support their cause. The new rule is subject to conference and school approval for each athlete.
It's time now for Low Country Catch of the Day.
Let's take a look at our Low Country Catch of the Day. This is Justice holding a fish he caught in his community pond in River Birch. We appreciate submission, Justice. All right, here's how you get your catch on the news. Send us an email with a picture of you and your catch. Write the subject as My Catch of the Day. It could be anything from fishing, deer, boar, turkey. Doesn't matter. Just tell us your name, where you caught it, and how big it is. We'll pick one every day and show it at the end of the show. So get on out there. And as always, happy hunting.
Next on News 2.
Caught on camera at attempted break-in in a Goose Creek home.
Neighbors saying this is not the first time it's happened in the community.
And time for our weather artist of the day. This is the 5 o'clock edition. We're going to go to Sullivan's Island Elementary School and say hello to Walker and say hello to a wonderful picture there. A lot of folks, I'm sure, including Walker, enjoying some beach time. Well done. Hey, kids, send us your weather pictures to 210 West Coleman Boulevard, Mount Pleasant, 29464. You can always email the pics if you like, stormteam2@wcbd.com. Say hello to Walker, and thank you, Walker, for this great weather picture. You're our weather artist of the day.
Now, Count on 2, live and local in the Lowcountry. This is News 2 at 5.
Welcome back. All eyes on the tropics right now as we're looking at a tropical storm down there.
That's right. Not only paying attention to its direction, but also how to pronounce it.
Isaias.
Yeah, let's get straight to the Lowcountry's chief meteorologist and once again, an amazing teacher, Rob Fowler. Rob.
Practicing all day.
Storm Team 2 rooftop weather, sponsored by Superior Windows and Roofing.
Isaias, and you guys are doing really well. It's a toughie to say, but we're going to talk about Isaias and what's going on there in a moment. Let's show you our double diamonds. We've got plenty of clouds in the area. We still have some showers in the area, but most of the rain has moved on by. Now let's take you over to the tropics, and again, probably the biggest headline is the fact now the forecast has this becoming a hurricane, but going to about 75-mile-per-hour winds. We had it as a strong tropical storm off of our coast at 70, so you're talking about a difference of 5 miles per hour. The designation from tropical storm to hurricane, and this is what we're concerned about, that flare-up of thunderstorms right there, and it looks like the center is pulling away from the landmass and heading into some very warm waters over especially into the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos as well. So this is going to be a situation we've got to watch very closely. We kind of followed the track, and we had that little dip last night, and all of a sudden the computer models kind of locked into that as the center, and now keeping that northwesterly movement. The center of the storm just about to break away from the Dominican Republic. They're over there in Hispaniola. It's moving northwest at 20 miles an hour, 60-mile-per-hour winds. So again, this is a strong tropical storm, and here's the projected track from the National Hurricane Center, what we call the cone of uncertainty, and basically it gives us a guide because as you can see, it's a pretty wide swath. Once you get later in the period, 3, 4, and 5 days, the margin of error is much greater. That's why the cone kind of spreads out a little bit. But if you look at the center, that would keep the center just offshore, but keep in mind now we're still in the cone, so any deviation back to the west certainly could bring more impacts along the coast of South Carolina as well as North Carolina. We'll go into more detail about this in a few minutes. Let's get you caught up on the traffic. Count on 2 traffic this afternoon. We've been running through the rain. Some of us have, but most areas have been dry. Some of the roads still could be wet from those passing showers, so be wary of that as we move on by. Let's go to 526. Right now we're looking good. Both directions coming over the Donhold. Rabbit Bridge had some rain earlier. Now you're looking good. And Savannah Highway inbound, outbound, not too bad, navigating light to light. Here's that live look at one of our DOT cameras. This is at mile marker 215, I-26 eastbound. And you can see not much traffic. What traffic there is moving.
New at 5 o'clock, caught on camera. The Goose Creek Police Department is investigating an attempted break-in, and it was all recorded by the homeowner's security camera. News 2's Danielle Hensley has more from that home in Goose Creek.
It's a family's nightmare, but thankfully for this family, the cameras were on and rolling, catching the entire attempted break-in.
We were both sound asleep, and then we just heard 3 loud bangs.
Jason Terry, a resident of the Cadbury subdivision in Goose Creek, says it was 10 o'clock when 2 males tried to kick in his front door.
A little bit of disbelief at first, and then just angry and, and shocked and, thinking, okay, what if they would have come in, I've got my wife and my sons in here also.
Terry says surprisingly it wasn't his 90-pound lab that scared the 2 men away.
We think it was a table leg from an old table that we bought a new table and disassembled the other one, and when it fell, it sounds like a gunshot. It's so loud because it's a big piece of heavy wood.
The Terry family had to replace their door due to the damage done during the attempted break-in. Jason says the child lock is what kept the door secure.
Done some upgrading on the lights around the house. It's plenty bright out here now. Changed some of the cameras up to make them see things a little bit better. But yeah, we're doing okay now.
The Goose Creek Police Department is investigating the attempted break-in. Authorities say there is no identified trend of break-ins at this time. Reporting from Goose Creek, Danielle Hensley, Count on 2.
Authorities in Goose Creek are looking to identify a man who broke into Stratford High School. Police say the burglary suspect entered the school sometime Wednesday night. The man was seen on security video wearing only athletic shorts and has a mohawk-styled haircut with a short beard. He was also seen wearing a black South Carolina Gamecocks bag. It is unclear if he took anything from the school. If you recognize the person on your screen right now, you're asked to contact the Goose Creek Police Department.
And the Charleston Police Department investigating a deadly shooting in West Ashley. Police responded to Radius Apartments, which is on Ashley River Road. This was about 11 o'clock last night. A male victim found unresponsive in the parking lot, taken to MUSC, but later died. There have been no arrests made. The investigation continues.
The Charleston County Sheriff's Office is investigating a fatal hit and run that happened on Johns Island. Officials say the crash happened near Main Road at around 6:15 this morning. Deputies say the driver of the car ran off the scene before law enforcement arrived. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. An investigation into this incident is ongoing. Anyone with information is asked to call the Charleston County Sheriff's Office.
A North Charleston woman could face years in prison after she's accused of falsifying tax returns and skipping out on her own taxes. Tanya Brown, accused of evaded nearly $5,000 in taxes from her personal returns. She also helped others prepare false returns. She was arrested by the State Department of Revenue today.
Trident Medical Center is celebrating its 45th anniversary today. Directors, administrators at the North Charleston Police Department greeted staff as they left their shifts overnight and came in this morning. Trident Medical Center opened their doors back in 1975 with only 220 hospital beds. Today, they have nearly doubled that number, providing more than 400 beds for patients. The West County Aquatic Center will be hosting an inclusive swim night for those with disabilities and their families this Saturday. The fee is $2 per person, including chaperone and caregivers. A chaperone will be required for all participants. Children 2 and under and pass holders will be free. Wheelchairs and water wheelchairs will be available on site for checkout and are first come, first served.
Next on News 2.
Tracing and tracking, that's the goal of a new committee in this state designed at ending COVID-19 in South Carolina. Tonight, how they are bringing the idea to life.
And time for our winds and waves forecast coming up on your Friday. Hard to believe the end of July as well. Southwest 10 to 15 knot winds in the harbor. A little stronger going offshore, 15 to 20 knots there. Southwest 5 to 10 knot winds over on Lake Moultrie. Here come your tides all the way in right now, but all the way back out roughly midnight, early Friday morning. You're watching News 2 at 5:30.
Here's what's trending on CountOn2.com and the News 2 app. The Mount Pleasant and Charleston Police Departments partnering together, conducting speed enforcement in the Low Country. Charleston Police responded to a James Island home today after a 17-month-old was found unresponsive in a pool. And authorities in Goose Creek are looking to identify a man who broke into Stratford High School.
Stay in the know on the go with the News 2 app, sponsored by Buchanan Tile and Design.
A new committee specifically devoted to COVID-19 testing and tracing issues in South Carolina met yesterday to talk about the variables and logistics of conducting COVID-19 tests and what the state needs to do better. George Godfrey has more details on those current limitations and solutions on the table.
South Carolina lawmakers are in the process of reviewing the state's current testing capacity and working on ways to increase that, whether that's through the budget or through passing certain legislation. Wednesday morning, state health officials told lawmakers how COVID-19 testing is currently rolled out in the state's testing capacity, which is about 2,000 tests per day. The state is on track to test more than 5% of the state's population this month, an increase from the previous 2% target. DHEC is aiming to test 10% of the state's population each month, but lack of supplies needed to administer the test is preventing the state from reaching that goal.
PPE can still be a challenge for our partners to obtain. Small size and extra large gowns, gloves, and 95 masks. They were really difficult at the beginning. The supply chain eased up a little bit, and now they're becoming difficult again as we have seen an increased number in patients hospitalized.
At the national level, the federal government is working to have rapid testing available for all nursing homes in the country. In Columbia, George Godfrey.
And DHEC says nursing homes here have already started receiving those tests. Health officials add that staffing shortages are also an obstacle in the way of ramping up testing.
Williamsburg County Schools added to the list of those that have had their reopening plans approved by the State Department of Education. There are now 31 school districts that have been given a green light on their plans, including Berkeley County, which was approved last week. Still no word on approval for the Charleston County School District or Dorchester County School District. You know, the pandemic has certainly made it difficult to keep up with normal, healthy routines like gym workouts and good nutrition habits, but there are some apps that might be able to help us. Habit Tracker helps us develop a habit you want to cultivate, like writing in a journal. Yoga Wake Up is a simple yoga app that doesn't require a mat. It is a yoga routine you actually have to do in bed, but I'm told you do have to wake up to do it. It's out of the question for you now, right? Well, there's another app that will track just how much water you're drinking.
Waterlogged helps you track water throughout the day. Drinking more water is going to help fight fatigue, reduce headaches, and help speed up your metabolism to help with weight loss.
And hey, there are some other apps you can look into, some that might help you track your food intake. MyFitnessPal is one that's designed to do that, which helps you track all parts of your physical fitness. Best of luck to you.
Next on News 2.
We're less than 100 days away from the November election, and one group is asking state lawmakers to make it easier for voters during the pandemic. lot of people talking about this today. President Trump floating the idea of a delay in the November election. The president tweeted this morning about what he called, quote, universal mail-in voting, adding it would lead to most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. He then asked, quote, delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. Presidential election dates are set by federal law. Only Congress can change them.
News 2 is your local election headquarters. The South Carolina Association of Registration and Election Officials is asking lawmakers to approve no excuse absentee voting. It would allow anyone to vote absentee without giving a reason. Governor McMaster approved a similar action for the June primary.
It worked extremely well in the June primary. We think that the voters would be very pleased with that option to protect themselves and also to protect our poll workers.
You must register to vote by October 5th to vote in November's general election. Mail-in ballots must be requested by October 30th.
Storm Team 2 rooftop weather, sponsored by Superior Windows and Roofing.
Well, we had some scattered showers and thunderstorms going on in the area. Most of the rain has kind of faded away, but we'll take a look at radar in a moment as we look live at our double diamonds from our News 2 rooftop cam. Let's go out to Folly Beach where the tide is high. Folks are out enjoying the surf, and if this potential hurricane comes off the coast this weekend, certainly the seas could be a little bit angrier for you. Right now, temperature at 83 degrees out on Folly. Here is a look at what happened today, and 90 degrees. And if you're saying we've hit 90 a lot this month, you are right on the money. So far, 26 out of the 30 days, we have been 90 or better. 76 our low this morning. That is right about the average on the high side. 119.99 is the year we did that for the record high. And again, as we count down, 26 days today was number 26. We averaged 18 days, so this is the same as 2015 and just below 2016. Of course, we got one more day yet to go. Have a pretty good feeling we're going to get to 90 again tomorrow. Now, we mentioned some of the showers and thunderstorms here in the Charleston area. You may have gotten rained on briefly earlier. Now we're finding up towards Jamestown, jumping over to Andrews and Georgetown County, Pleasant Hill to Georgetown. We're getting thunderstorms there. And then back out to the west, the sea breeze starting to move in, so we could see more initiation of some rain out to the west, and then stronger storms from Augusta all the way back down into southeast Georgia along Highway 16. So Isaias is our new name. This was actually upgraded last night from that potential tropical cyclone number 9. And again, it is a tropical storm. The winds are 60 miles an hour, and clearly you can see a blow up of thunderstorms right there where we think the center is coming off of the Dominican Republic. That was key today. We wanted to see how it interacted with land, how much interacted with land, and it looks like the center is moving away from land, and thus that's why strengthening is in the forecast to potentially our second hurricane of the 2020 season. Right now, the center of the storm moving northwest at 20. Winds are 60 miles an hour, and as of 5 o'clock from the hurricane center, here is the updated forecast track. Still getting that bend coming around Bermuda High. The key is how strong is the high, how close does the storm get to the east coast before it makes that bend. And here is a close-up of that same track. You can see Sunday evening generally off the Space Coast of Florida. Then by the time we get to Monday evening off the coast, I'd say of Myrtle Beach, Little River Inlet. So sometime during the day, early Monday, probably off of our coast, the center that is, and then continuing to move off to the north and northeast. And the computer models also showing that the bulk of them make that turn out to sea, keeping most of the impactful weather offshore. Any deviation in the track, though, could bring more impacts onshore, and high pressure will have a lot to say about that over the coming days. The stronger that high pressure is, probably the farther west it's going to go before it makes a turn. Few showers, still a thunderstorm in that forecast on our radar right now. 78 for the inland areas, ditto for the beaches. Here's your extended forecast jumping into your Friday, the last day of July. It's going to be a hot one, folks. 90 for the air temperature, probably feeling more like 105 by the afternoon. Hot weekend, too. First weekend in August, low to middle 90s. And then next week, also lots of 90s across the board, maybe a little bit cooler late in the week. Here's your beach forecast. Plan on hot weather all the way to the coast. Lots of sunshine, but also a threat of showers and thunderstorms. You're watching News 2 at 5:30. All right, getting you home here on a Thursday afternoon as we look at Count on 2 traffic. A lot of the rain we saw in the Charleston area now has moved on by. Still a light shower, not out of the question. 526 both directions. You're looking good coming over the water there. Speaking of coming over the water on the Ravenel Bridge, nothing really going on there as well. And a little more congestion if you're coming into town on Savannah Highway as you head 17 northbound. 19-minute drive downtown to Somerville heading westbound on Interstate 26. Speaking of Interstate 26, we have a live camera out there. DOT located at mile marker 215. As you see, the traffic is moving both directions. Sunshine in the background.
If you are on the road, you better slow down. That is the message from Mount Pleasant and Charleston Police as the two agencies working together patrolling the Ravenel Bridge and 526. Officers wrote 71 tickets in just 3 hours on the Ravenel Bridge yesterday. Operation Move Out started today. The City of Charleston's annual initiative began this morning and goes through 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon. People moving out asked to put things they want to get rid of at the curb by 7 each morning so that it can be picked up. Details are posted on our website, counton2.com.
New episodes of Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy are a step closer to being seen. Both shows are returning to the studio to tape these new episodes. New protocols, of course, will be in place, including only allowing essential staff and crew on stage, providing PPE for everyone behind the scenes, enforcing social distancing measures, and regular testing for staff, crew, and all contestants. The wheel on the Wheel of Fortune has been redesigned so contestants can follow social distancing guidelines. Jeopardy, meanwhile, spaced podiums farther apart and at a safe distance from host Alex Trebek.
Next on News 2.
Police officers and local leaders are opening the floor for conversations about fighting racism. Coming up at 6, how they plan to unite the Charleston community.